We are now called to order. Today is Wednesday, April 13th at 7:14 PM. This is the Douglas Economic Development Commission. First item on the agenda is the Land Glide app renewal. This is for $106.24. This is an annual thing that we have that helps us understand where property lines are and things like that. I'll let Bob explain it a little bit in more detail.
It's basically an app that allows me, when I walk properties, to not venture where we're not supposed to be. A good example is in December, I walked with the Conservation Committee on the McIntyre gravel pit to verify all the wetland flagging. And we didn't want to venture into Uxbridge because we had no business in Uxbridge. And the adjacent properties was the solar farm. So we knew exactly where we were. We could easily verify the flags. It's a very helpful app.
Great. Yeah, I see no reason why we shouldn't. We're getting good use out of it.
Yeah, I use it every month, walking properties.
Great.
Up in the, behind Granutech, there's 6 properties up there, and so we want to know where we are.
Of course.
And it's real time, you can click, get the property owners' names, the acreage, the zoning. It's our GIS map superimposed on a map, moving map.
Cool. So it has GPS and everything, so you can tell.
Everything. You tell your lat longs to the
Great.
decimal point.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay. Does anyone want to, so this is up for renewal.
Okay.
Does anyone want to move that we approve to pay this?
I will move to approve to pay that, what do we call it? The Land Glide
Glide app.
application renewal in the amount of $106.24.
I second. We can vote by ayes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, motion passes. Okay. The second topic on our agenda are economic development updates with construction timelines. This is Bob's item. He's been really busy, so I look forward to the update.
I've been busy. Let me just start off by saying that there's been a lot of economic development activity in this region. You just have to drive up northbound on Route 146, coming out of Rhode Island, and you get to the Route 16 exit in Uxbridge, and you're looking at a brand-new warehouse sitting on the hill, and that's the old Serendipity property. That's a 600,000 square foot warehouse by Amazon. Go up one more exit, and you can see the Blackstone Valley Logistics Center coming out of the ground. Right now, they've had a couple of thousand-yard concrete floor pours within the last week. They're making good progress. Our warehouse, that's entirely in Douglas by CRG, it's a 1.1 million square foot warehouse. They're in before the planning board right now. So that's good news. They're before conservation. Getting their permitting process. What we discovered a couple of years ago was these warehouse projects are nice, but we, Douglas, do not have the infrastructure to support these warehouses. So we decided it's time to upgrade our underground infrastructure system, basically water and sewer. And the map you can see up on the wall up there is, those were the areas that were identified that needed an upgrade to support these 2 large warehouses. Combined, our 1.1 and the 600,000 across the street is 1.7 million square feet of warehouse. There's been activity in other areas of town. We'll address that after, but let's just concentrate on this area right now. What people are going to notice is within the next month, there's going to be some road construction going on. We've started with the signage. There'll be some websites going up on the town website, the homepage. The fire station sign will have some advisories as far as which streets will be affected. But I can give you a quick timeline right now, the scheduled timelines for, now, this is only water pipe installation. The sewer pipe, because we applied for the $3 million federal EDA grant, Economic Development Administration, we applied for that grant. We should be hearing about that probably by the end of this week, maybe the end of next week, whether we were awarded that grant. We cannot pre-order any material with the federal grant, so we're patiently waiting for the outcome of that grant, whether it's positive or negative. Either way, we have to order sewer material. So we broke out the sewer portion of this entire process is $8.5 million, this upgrade. We applied for a MassWorks grant last year. We were awarded a $3 million grant on that. During the last 3 months, I was working with the state to get that increased. On March 11th, they gave us another $1 million. So that grant now is up to $4 million, of which $700,000 will be applied to gas, which is not part of this project. This is only the water sewer project. But because the EDA required a specific project in and of itself on its own, we have to pull the sewer out of this. So it's really a $5 million water project and a $3.5 million sewer project. We'll only talk about the water project tonight.
Sorry, I just gotta get some water.
The material bids, and we had to divide this bid up into two sections. One was the materials only, because we have supply chain problems. The entire nation is experiencing supply chain problems. So what we did is we got the materials list, all the pipe, the hydrants, the valves, the gaskets, you name it, the materials list, and we sent that out for bid. That came back. And now, because we know the time availability, we could send out the bids for the install portion of those materials. The install bids are due next Friday, the 22nd at noontime. Usually you get about 6, 7 bidders bidding these projects, but because no town has material, they don't have pipe, we're up to 6, as of 2:30 yesterday, we're up to 16 bidders bidding for this project.
Wow.
It's aggressive. They just have equipment idle. They need to work. So it's a good thing that Bob Sullivan of the Water Systems Manager had the foresight to suggest that we put this out to bid. So, kudos to Bob on that. If you ride by the sewer treatment plant right now, you can see a lot of black pipe sitting in that driveway. That's the first 3,000 feet. That was delivered last week. We're getting another 3,000 feet delivery, 2,800 feet to be exact. That's coming in the end of next week. And then end of May, we'll be getting in a 1,300 linear feet of 16-inch water pipe. So we're getting staggered deliveries, but the good news is we're getting pipe. Right now, there's about a 46-week delay if you order pipe today. And I think there's 52 weeks in a year, so you're looking at a sizable delay if you want to start a project today. So I think we lucked out on that. We dodged the bullet. The bids are open, will be open Friday. We'll give ourselves about a week to vet everything. It's not necessarily the lowest bidder who will be getting the award. We have to get the one with the best overall value, which includes, we get somebody who's really, really low and away from the pack, but that's all they do is change orders. That might not be the best solution or the best contractor to choose. So that's not up to me, but that's the way it's going to go. We're looking at a scheduled start date of May 9th. I know it's aggressive. It's within 2 weeks of the award, but we have to get going on this project. So within that 2-week time frame from the award to the start date, there will be pre-construction meetings, and we will be looking at, of course, the developers will be, the contractor will be chosen by then at this pre-construction meeting. So we're giving ourselves 4 weeks to do Phase 1. And if you noticed in the written description, I've got Phase 1. Phase 1 is starting at the Shell Station on Lackey Dam Road, proceeding eastbound by the Route 146 southbound on-off exits. And then we go under the bridges, both bridges, then by the Route 146 northbound on-off exits, ending at the entrance to the Blackstone Valley Logistics Center, which is the new warehouse going up. On that map, that is the blue line, the top blue line that goes underneath 146. It looks like it's centrally located on Route 146. That line is 2,600 feet. That will be a brand-new 12-inch line, ductile lined water pipe.
So will there be exit closures as part of that?
As far as our Mass DOT permit, that is night work. When you're a beam, the ramps, that will be night work. Now, the Shell Station has 2 entrances. We will be closing down 1 entrance at a time, so it just makes sense to do the Shell Station at night as well. And then you're right, probably 100 feet, you're right into an on-ramp, which is the southbound, Route 146 southbound on-ramp. So the first 2 nights will probably be night work at that point in time, and once they get going, we're anticipating they can lay 400 feet of pipe in 1 night. So you're looking at, we gave ourselves 4 weeks on here just to get a little setup time and slop in there, weather delays. We think they can do that probably within 2 weeks, get ahead of schedule, which is where you really want to be. There's also a possibility, I put it lower, further down on the list, possibly working 2 phases. We will know in the pre-construction meeting if a contractor is willing to do the night work on Lackey Dam Road and then move the equipment down to Gilboa and work daytime there with 2 separate crews, but the same piece of equipment. That would really speed things up. But again, we won't know that. It depends who which contractor is selected, and if they're willing to do that.
They should be able to move pretty good from, say, the mill up to across 146 and stuff as far as the digging. It's all gravel there, so they're not going to be...
Right, that should be, that's why we're thinking.
No, but not likely.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. That should be easy digging.
Yeah.
Now, we do have an existing 12-inch line from the mill to the Shell Station, so that is not, if you notice, there's a blue gap in there.
Right, notice that.
That already is a new 12-inch line. We're just extending it from the Shell Station to Blackstone Valley Logistics. And then on Gilboa, from the intersection of North Street to the mill, just filling in those 2 pieces. Then the entire Gilboa Street, Lackey Dam Road will be 12-inch.
Now, will they make, like a place where you can hook into this line? Because I can see over there at Pines, they're going to be needing it at some point.
We're stubbing out where we're stubbing out where the old Lackey, across from old Lackey Dam Road, which is the road that curls behind the
Right,
Shell Station.
Yeah,
There's that new West Side connector, which was designed in 2012.
right,
That's where we're stubbing out, because if
Okay.
there's any activity going on in Pine,
right,
that will be the new entrance.
okay.
So we've taken into account stubbing out for future activity on any of that property in that area.
Oh, good.
The idea is to get these connections off the street, so when we repave it next year, we're not ripping up a road 2 years from now.
Right,
Just get it off street and cap it, with the gate valves in the
yep,
street.
yep. So that's all, going to be all part of the...
That's all part of this, that's into the
Great.
spec sheet already.
Great, great.
We've even anticipated along Gilboa, there's 47 acres that was part of the DeCaro Mill Complex,
Yep,
which is not the mill, it's separate now. We've anticipated there's a utility corridor in a separate parcel. We're putting stubs on that just in case. If you don't use them, they're buried, they're out of sight.
Right.
If you go to use them, they're right there, readily available. The Phase 2 will be the blue line on that map from the North Street intersection to the mill. That is 3,000 feet of 12-inch pipe. Phase 3, this is the phase that is going to be challenging. It's the shortest phase, but it's on a winding street, tight street, and that's from the Main Street, North Street intersection to the bridge. There's from what I understand, there's a 36-inch stormwater pipe going right down the middle of the road. We just recently, within the past few months, had a water break, and it was challenging to even fix the water breaks. And it's an existing 8-inch line, and we're doubling the size to a 16-inch, because down Main Street right now is a 16. So we're just basically bringing 16 all the way down Main Street up to the Mumford River Bridge crossing. So those are your three phases, Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, and the dates. We're anticipating 4 weeks for each phase. North Street probably will be 4 weeks. Gilboa might be slightly less. We're thinking Phase 1, Lackey Dam Road could be considerably less. Now, the schedule is predicated on a bunch of items: acceptance of bids, opening on the 22nd. Hopefully, there's no bid delay openings with that. Which contractor is selected? We're looking at about a week to select a contractor. Pre-construction contractor meetings, so probably be at least 1, possibly 2 meetings prior to construction. 1 or 2 install crews, I touched on that briefly, where the Mass DOP permit is night work only. They have the capability of working with the day crew elsewhere, and that would be Gilboa Street. The reason we don't want them on North Street right now is because of the buses, the school buses. We're trying to do Phase 3. You notice it says July 5th for a start date. School gets out on the 21st of June. So we're trying to stay away from North Street while the school is open. But if they finish the other 2 phases, we'll be jumping onto North Street, and we'll be coordinating with the schools for the bus schedules. Weather is a big factor. May, June, and July should be good weather, but you can never count on it. You know, we could get some potential damaging rains and where they just have to stop work. I don't think we have to worry about snow at this point in time.
I hope not.
If we do, something's changing. The scheduled pipe deliveries, like I said, we have 3,000 feet on the ground right now. It's inside the fenced area of the sewer treatment plant. The next delivery is scheduled for next Friday. We just hope these pipe delivery schedules stay on time, and nobody comes in and kind of takes our order and we get pushed back a week. And these schedules, these are all tentative. Yeah, they're just estimated times right now, always subject to change. In the middle of this description, you can see the phases, a detailed description of where the phases are located. I already described Phase 1 going underneath 146. Phase 2 is starting at the North Street, Gilboa Street intersection, proceeding east, and this is the way they will proceed, eastbound, and they're ending a beam. There's a hydrant located at the western end of the mill complex. That's where the existing pipe begins, so they'll be going up to that hydrant. Phase 3 is, and this is the challenging one, Main Street, North Street intersection. Right now, there's a 16-inch line with a 12-inch T on it. They'll be pulling that one out, putting in a 16 by 16 by 16 T. Then they'll proceed north on North Street, past C Street, past Haywood Landing Complex, ending in the vicinity of the southern end of the North Street Bridge, crossing the Mumford River. Basically where Charles Street comes out, that intersection. It's on the drawings where the 8 goes to 12. If you remember about, 2 years ago, Carol, the bridge was down for maintenance for a while. There was a detour.
Right,
Bob Sullivan took advantage of that and put a 12-inch in the bridge. So
You remember.
we don't have to go across the bridge. The 12 is already there.
Good.
So we'll bring the 16 down and put a reducer in about the Charles Street intersection. They know exactly where that ends.
So I assume this last phase also will be night work, considering. it's so busy.
No, only, we plan on doing North Street during the day. Now, the good thing about that is this, we could break that up into 3 segments. You could actually, from the Main Street to C Street, that's only probably 200 feet, 300 feet. We could shut that right down, because by the time you have an excavator with a dump truck next to it, you've basically closed that narrow street. It would just almost be impossible to get traffic by it.
So what are we going to do?
Probably do a little
Well,
detour
mechanic or
there, go
something,
up
or-
Main Street, hit C Street or Charles Street, and then get back down.
Okay.
And we might do the same thing with, when we get beyond C Street, now we'll have to use Charles Street as the detour, or Mechanic Street, one of those 2 streets. There will be one lane open where it's wide enough, especially Gilboa, Lackey Dam Road. There will be one lane open just for emergency vehicles and traffic.
Okay.
The contractor is purchasing, as part of this bid, 2 portable traffic stations. So in case we can't get police details, and some projects are affected by lack of police, they just don't have the manpower to give construction. Like, I know when they repaved 16, I don't think there's any Douglas policemen on that project. It was all from Uxbridge. So we don't want to be at the mercy of not doing construction because the non-availability of police. So we've got 2 portable traffic units coming in, and we'll set them up on each end, and they talk to each other. So, they'll anticipate a line of traffic, and one will turn green, one will turn red.
oh, good.
And there'll
So-
be,
To be clear, that street will remain open. There'll be
Yes.
one lane.
yeah,
It'll just be-
Gilboa and Lackey Dam will always have one-way traffic.
great.
And depending on which end is backed up. And morning traffic, probably going towards 146. Evening traffic coming from 146. So it depends on the time of the day, the traffic.
And I guess my question is, there's that mill complex over there. There are a few, houses and things like that that have access on that street. I'm talking specifically about Main and North. Will that be open for local traffic? Or?
Oh, it'll always be open for local traffic.
Great.
When we get in front of their driveway, obviously, if they need to get out, they'll probably have to park a car on the road.
Yep.
But it'll be house by house in isolated condition. Now, as far as their water, what they do is they set up a bypass from hydrant to hydrant, so they work on the section in between hydrants. The houses still have water because it's a temporary pipeline. You see that on a lot of construction sites. It's a above-ground pipe stubbed into the house. And that allows them to, the line that's in the street, they take from the old pipe, attach it to the new pipe.
Great. So nobody will be cut off for 4 weeks, which is.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
no. It'll be a one-day inconvenience when you're physically digging in front of their driveway.
Great.
And if they need to get out, we can always have a steel plate available for them to get out. We had a meeting last week with the school department and talked about the buses. There's only 2 houses we have to worry about on Gilboa Street, so we've identified it down to the house.
Excellent.
So we'll have an exact time of pickup, for the student in the morning and the drop-off in the evening.
Great.
I've got a question about the blue line along Northeast Main. We haven't addressed that.
That is part of the EDA project. So when we get the EDA award,
Yep.
we can now send that material out, find out, and I'm hoping that's not 46 weeks away.
Right,
Potentially, it could be.
yeah.
There are other ways to get pipe. There's canceled projects around. I mean, there is pipe. You have to be aggressive to look for it. If you put the order into the pipe company right now, you're looking at 46 weeks.
Wow.
But we will be aggressive in looking for pipe. And part of the EDA contract on that map will be the green lines. That's the sewer project, and that is basically the entire Lackey Dam, Old Lackey Dam Road, and, Lackey Dam Road and Gilboa.
Right.
With a new sewer pump station right across from the mill. We have an existing pump station right there right now, and it's almost to beam the dam area, where the dam is located, just slightly
Now,
downstream.
have we determined who actually owns that property where that pump is?
The pump, that's Douglas property.
Douglas property?
Yeah, that was taken by tax taking from Cousins, who used to own the mill.
Right.
In I want to say in 2012, that was a tax taking.
Yeah.
And that's parcel 13844 on our map.
Okay.
When that time comes, we'll probably have another EDC meeting. I'll explain that pipe, but I can give you a general description of it right now. There will be a 4-inch force main. It'll be PVC pipe schedule 21 coming from the new warehouse, Blackstone Valley, under 146, feeding into our pump station. Our pump station will handle a gravity feed from all those houses. Now, you think those houses are actually uphill, the sewer flows towards the mill, and then it's pumped back
Yeah.
to the sewer, to the pump, to our treatment plant.
So this other section that will be covered by that second grant that we haven't yet been awarded and we can't pre-purchase.
Hopefully by next meeting, we'll have an announcement on that.
Right. But since we haven't purchased yet, and there is that 46-week lag time because of supply chain issues, do we
Well, the 46 is for the
anticipate
blue line, the water line. We don't know the availability of sewer pipe, but we heard it's not that bad. I don't want to use the word readily available, but it is available.
that? Okay. And I guess, the point of bringing that up is, do we anticipate that, changing the timeline of any of these projects or delaying anything?
That's a good question. And luckily, the Northeast Main Street is the most non-critical item out of that entire map. That Northeast Main
Really?
Street 12-inch line is only there to connect through the million-square-foot warehouse to create that pressure loop. Where the McIntyre pit is right now,
Yep.
they'll be laying a 5,000-foot line connecting Northeast Main Street
Yeah,
through the warehouse,
yeah,
connecting to Gilboa Street. That
Right.
will create a water loop
okay,
where you get more volume
okay.
for firefighting purposes.
So can the project, since it's less critical and it's to create a loop, it sounds like a more ideal system, would the system be functional and can the projects go forward without the Northeast Main Street line?
Yes.
In the worst-case scenario?
If you think about it right now, when we get done with North Street, Gilboa, and Lackey Dam, Blackstone Valley will have their fire flows.
Right.
We will meet state-mandated fire flows. So CRG will be coming off of Gilboa Street. They will have their fire flows as well.
Good, okay.
The Northeast Main Street, and I call it the cross-tie connection, that almost increases the fire flows by 50%,
Nice. Okay.
because it just gives you that much more volume.
So it'll, long story short, it'll be sufficient, even if that Northeast Main portion.
Yeah, and even if it is 46 weeks, that's about the time CRG will be needing it next year, because they're still in the permitting process. It takes a year to build this facility. So if you think about it, it takes a year to build a facility. it's going to get a year for the pipe. The worst-case scenario, it's
like
perfect
4
timing.
weeks. Or it's like 4 weeks if it's,
Yeah.
the same timeline as these
Now,
other
will they
projects.
be
yeah.
paying for the water line going through their property?
Oh, yeah, anything off property. Mass Works only applies to
Right.
town-owned property.
Now, do you think that we were successful in getting these grants, especially because we're working on more than one town?
That
helps
helped,
a
that
lot.
helped, that elevated,
Elevate, yeah.
or strengthened our
Yeah, right.
application. And that was one of our strategy points going into this. If we could get Blackstone Valley Logistics Center to take our water and sewer, it would
Right.
help our application.
Right,
Like I said, we were awarded the $3 million grant in November. March 11th, we got the extra $1 million, so it's actually a $4 million grant,
good.
which is one of the top ones in the state, by the way. I think the state realizes that this is the hotbed of the state, if you think about it, the activity that's going on in this area right now.
Well, I think the other thing too, Bob, is that you've been aggressive in going looking for these grants,
Yes.
and that's the thing. You're not going to get them if you don't ask, and you've been aggressive, and you've gone and looked for the grants, and you've gotten them.
Right.
And I think the state realizes that because of the activity, they support this activity
Yeah.
because it's economic growth.
Right,
There's a huge warehouse going up, I think, by Kraft up in Sutton, which is 2 more exits
well,
up.
didn't Kraft just buy a big chunk over at the White Machine Works?
I didn't hear about that.
I think he did. I think it's a huge, I think it was either 19.5 million or 22 million
I did not hear that.
that they just bought. I'll
Yeah,
show it to
I
you
also
again.
heard Amazon was stopping construction on a lot of sites nationwide.
Really?
Because their stock is down.
Oh,
One way
really?
to stabilize it is to
Stop your
get rid of the
expenditures.
expenditures.
Yeah,
And we know the Serendipity project, Route 16 and Davis Street, is Amazon.
Yeah.
But I don't think that one's affected.
and it's kind of interesting, every time, because you watch it on Facebook, anytime they see a warehouse that, everybody says, it's Amazon.
Yeah.
Well, Amazon would have one at every exit if all these were.
Well, if you think about it, they're building 3 million square feet in Charlton.
Yeah,
South of Worcester Airport, they're building one. Greendale Mall
Right.
is the last mile.
yeah.
I mean, they have
And then the one that's going up in Andover?
North Andover,
That was
3
enormous.
million, 3 floors, 3
Yeah.
million square feet.
Wow.
Yeah, they have the cross-dock distribution where they store a lot of stuff, and then they take it from that warehouse and they go to the last mile, they call it a last mile. And that's where all the vans are.
Oh.
The last mile, if you're thinking Milford is the last mile.
Yeah,
That's where you get the traffic problem, because there's a million vans all over the place, just clobbers the streets, clogs the gas stations. I know in the permitting process, they're addressing truck traffic. We're trying to keep trucks to 146, keep them out of the center of Douglas. I mean, that's always been a goal. You will notice, once CRG gets permitted, hopefully by, let's say, June, July timeframe, average of 4 months, their first construction project will be the new bridge across the Mumford River. And that's directly across the mill complex, the narrowest part of the river. And the way the road is designed is, you'll never see this warehouse.
Yeah.
Even though it sits 43, 46 feet high, you will never see it. The road is curved, so as you come down Gilboa Street by the Shell station, you see the bridge, you look in the driveway, you see trees. You get a beam the pond,
yeah,
there's a 100-foot buffer of trees they're not touching. They're tall
Yeah.
pines, so they might put in a lower shrub like arborvitae's,
Yeah.
because those tall pines are 120 feet high, but it's a high canopy.
Right, yeah.
They're just like lollipops. So they'll put in some lower trees, you'll never see it. If you stand on Northeast Main Street by the mulch place, by McIntyre Looms mulch place, you'll be looking down at it.
oh, wow,
That elevation is above the roof.
wow.
So all the lighting, all the noise is in a bowl.
Oh, that's
Great.
nice.
You might never even see this thing unless you go looking for it.
Good.
I hope somebody stops me on Gilboa Street. Where's that warehouse? You just drove by it. But now you come, now look at the one in Uxbridge, you come down 146 northbound,
you can
it's
see
it's a jewel sitting right on top of a hill, you can
Yeah.
see
Oh, yeah, you
it.
can
It
see
stands out.
The other thing, too, I was going down, what is it, you know where Flags RV is?
Yep,
Did they add on to that BJ's
BJ's?
warehouse? Because this thing's looking bigger than what I remember.
it looks big, and it's only 700,000 square feet.
But it looks like it's been added on to. I haven't been
I
down
never remember seeing any construction there, though. It does look big, but you
Oh,
can
yeah.
put that one inside ours and have a
Wow.
third left over.
there. Wow,
That's impressive.
yeah.
Yeah, from what I'm told, if you're standing on opposite ends, you cannot see the other person, they're that small.
Wow.
So that's basically in a nutshell right now, but I think we have to stay ahead of the traffic problem. We've got a sign, the highway department's supposed to put it up today at North Street and Main Street where the monument is. They're supposed to just
Okay.
put that portable sign there.
Yep.
The fire station, I think, is just advertising the annual town meeting, which is May 2nd.
Wait a second, yep.
And I think they're going to take that down for a week and then put up our sign for road construction, or road work, the dates, and then go back the week before the meeting back to there. I sent out emails today to get it on Dynamic Douglas, Facebook. I'm not on Facebook, but somebody can do that. Now, we do have an economic development Facebook, do we not?
We do.
Who handles that?
I think Lisa has access,
Lisa has access
she does.
to the EDC one?
as far as I know.
Because I know Brad Maltz used to run it, and then, who was our previous chairman? Luke.
Yep.
Luke McNeil ran it, but you don't run it.
I'm not on Facebook.
You're not on Face, and I'm not. Carol?
Well, let me put it this way, I'm a Facebook voyeur. I don't know how to do it.
Steve might be. We can see if we can get access for Steve or something. I can
Yeah, if Lisa does it, I've sent them emails to her, so.
Okay.
If she can do it, fine. Lisa's handling the town website on the homepage. I know we had Cedar Street closed, it was up on that page for a while.
When are they going to open Cedar Street, by the way? What do you know?
They were supposed to start this week,
Yeah, what tax taking
and there was,
so long?
I don't know.
You know, if they worked 5 days a week before, they better had it done before the cold weather came. Didn't
Well, if they-
exactly kill himself on that.
They only have 2 weeks of work left.
I know.
And you think if they would have started 2 weeks earlier, they would have got it.
Yeah.
I hope
No,
they're not
I'm
waiting
The
for
winter
light.
kills
They
me,
didn't work long days.
but it's looking good.
Well, it would be nice to get it open, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like my dead-end street.
I know. Well, that's probably not too bad for you.
For traffic, yeah.
Kind of nice, yeah. But it's a pain every time you want to go to Webster.
And go out and get my mail without getting killed.
Yeah, that's true, too.
So there's a lot going on in Douglas. You will notice the construction starting next month, within about 3 weeks from now, today being the 13th. Yeah, let's say a month from now, you will start seeing construction going on.
Great.
But it's progress. The one thing I didn't touch on was Eversource. As you know, the town of Douglas is the only town that does not have gas, natural
know.
gas in this area.
We got the pipes running through, but we don't have any.
Webster, Dudley, Sturbridge, Auburn, Oxford,
Northbridge.
Northbridge, Uxbridge, Upton, Sutton, they all have natural gas except poor little Douglas.
Yeah.
The selectmen negotiated an agreement with Eversource last year. We put it in our MassWorks grant last year. We were forced to pull it because Eversource did not contribute enough funds.
Okay.
So we were forced to pull it. And in September, since September to through the fall, very little progress with Eversource. And I knew at that point in time, we needed all three. We needed water, sewer, and we needed natural
Yeah,
gas.
right.
We could handle the water, sewer. So that's when I re-engaged with Eversource, had some serious meetings with them, got the state involved, and after about 3 months, we finally came to an agreement that, and I have to thank CRG, our developer, they stepped up to the plate. Scannell took the gas from Oakhurst, I'm looking at that map,
Yep.
from Oakhurst Drive
Right.
down Lackey Dam Road, 3,500 feet. Scannell paid or worked with Eversource to get it to that point, which
So-
helped us because that's our new starting point.
Right, so they're going to bring it down to that new...
The new warehouse.
New warehouse. So it's
New
going to go
warehouse.
down Lackey Dam Road, huh?
So it's coming right down Lackey Dam Road.
Very good.
So that was my new bargaining chip.
Yeah, yeah.
To get Eversource to extend it across the line, because 2,250 feet is
Right.
Douglas Town line.
Right.
Now we're into Douglas.
Right,
But if we're ripping up all the streets, we want gas all the way to Main Street.
Right.
Because we don't want to rip up a gas,
Rip up
a
the gas
brand-new
line.
street 2
Yeah.
years from
Kinda
now to
like
put a
what they-
gas in.
kind of what they did down at like Douglas Road.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It wasn't too many years ago either, they had fixed that whole road.
So right now, CRG stepped up to the plate. It was $3.7 million to bring it from Blackstone Valley to Main Street. Eversource did a 25-year, what they call is a HURD model, H-U-R-D. It's a HURD model where it's a payback. They know how much gas they can sell, so they recapture their investment.
Right,
They came up with $1.9 million after a 25-year model. CRG contributed $1.1 million for the gas, because they need natural
now
gas.
CRG, that's one.
That's our
big-
our
big one.
1.1 million.
Yep,
So if you add 1.9, 1.1, it's 3 million, we're 700,000 shot.
yep,
And the town is not in a position to pay for natural gas.
right,
Our grants don't cover natural gas. We
Right.
had opera funds from the federal government, not for natural gas. The federal grant, the EDA grant, not for natural gas. I mean, we were between a rock and a hard
Right,
spot.
yeah.
So this is where I was negotiating with the state for the last 3 months, and I finally convinced them that, we need natural gas. Sutton had a $2.25 million MassWorks grant in 2019.
right,
And I was just asking for 700,000, and they finally came to the conclusion that Douglas needs assistance. So that was part of that $1 million grant that I got on March 11th, was
Wow.
700,000 went to gas, 300,000 to water sewer for overruns.
Awesome. Great.
So we're getting gas along this entire blue-green line, all the way to North Street. Now, that will be installed probably November, December. They work through the winter. I was surprised. But they don't stop. Nobody puts in water sewer pipe after November 30th.
Yeah.
They shut down for December and January
Yeah.
and February and start up March 1st. Not gas. Gas, they work round the year.
how do they get through the frost?
Yeah.
They can actually use those
Will they heat it?
those big wheels, diggers, and dig a
They
trench.
saw it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a,
See, with a 12-inch water pipe, you need a 3-foot wide trench,
Right,
which is a
right.
lot of backfill. They have a very narrow.
yeah, they do make it pretty narrow, so
Yeah.
they just, because they cut right through the rock and
Yeah,
everything.
they cut
It's
through
like-
everything.
Like a big saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can saw frost. You can't blast it.
And if you look at that
I've seen
trench,
people try to blast it. You can't blast it.
Can't do it.
No. It won't, it doesn't get hot enough.
yeah,
You can't blast it.
and you look at the trench that's going down Old Lackey Dam Road by your
Yeah,
place.
it's not that
It's
wide.
not that wide.
No.
But if that was a sewer line
Yeah,
or a
right,
water line, it'd be a
yeah.
3-foot wide
Oh,
trench.
yeah, or more, because
Yeah.
cave in and everything, yeah.
And the other reason we wanted all 3 trenches this year
Yeah.
is because you got to let it settle for 1 year
Right.
before you repave
Repave
it. You want that settling, there's going to be bumps in it, just like you go down Lackey Dam Road. It looks like big potholes, but they come out and repatch it, and it's going to settle for a year. So hopefully by the end of next year, we'll have brand-new roads. The other thing is Eversource, they go down the middle of the road. So Lackey Dam Road and Gilboa, they'll come down the middle of the street,
Oh, okay.
crosses the bridge. Now, when you get to North Street, What's in the middle of the road, North Street, is a 36-inch stormwater
The one you
pipe.
see going right down into the river?
So we talked Eversource into going up the sidewalk, so we're going to give her a brand-new sidewalk.
Oh, great.
Because we're working with CMRPC on
So
a
how
sidewalk
far
program,
How far are they coming up with the gas?
right up to Main Street,
Right up to Main Street?
right to Main Street.
Oh, wow.
Now, that will be a perfect launch point in
Right.
case we get development on Davis Street. They can now go Davis Street,
Right.
pick up the schools, get us off heating oil,
Right.
and
Get people hook into, there might be houses that want to hook.
houses,
Yeah,
anybody
sure.
can hook in if they
Yeah.
want to.
Wow.
Haywood Landing is one of the customers, because I needed usage
Right.
for Eversource.
Right.
Our sewer treatment plant is a combination of propane and heating oil right now. We're
Yeah.
going all natural gas. The two biggest users will be Peter DeCaro's
Yeah.
cannabis
Yeah.
operation and CRG. They're basically almost, the BTU usage, they're almost tied. Two big users. But there's enough usage where it now made sense to bring gas in the Douglas.
Great.
We have 200 acres sitting at the bottom of Davis Street on the Uxbridge line, not the acreage you and I worked on. We worked on 200 acres, 185 behind Granutech.
Yeah,
Further south, there's another 200 acres. We
Good.
have in Land Court, there's 5 parcels in Land
Yeah.
Court. Town of Uxbridge has 3 parcels and all the private ownership. That area, if it gets developed, Eversource might think of connecting the gas line in Uxbridge
Yeah.
near Campanelli Park
Yeah.
with this
Oh,
line at Main Street,
yeah.
create a loop up Davis Street and just take in all those businesses. But if you get a development on 200 acres, it's going to be a sizable gas demand.
yeah,
And I don't think the line in Uxbridge will handle it. They'll have to feed up from us. I did have a biotech firm call last year, and the first question they asked was, is there natural gas in that area? And this was a $40 million project. And I
no,
had to say no.
yeah,
Well, the first question they asked was, is there water in the area? And I says, no. Is there a sewer in the area? I says,
Right.
no.
natural.
And he says, how about natural gas? And the questions just got worse.
Yep.
It's not only do we don't have it in that area, we don't have it, period.
Right.
Yeah, right,
Right.
So,
But now you can.
but
start
again,
saying
the
yes.
infrastructure was not there. I mean, they would have, a $40 million biotech firm was going to look at that 40 acres behind, it's a long strip by the rail trail.
oh, okay,
They were looking at that, and they just passed on it, because we did not have the infrastructure in place. So this project right here is just going to open up a lot of possibilities.
yeah, I agree.
We have water problems on North Street for all the development going on up there. Compass Point, we plan on putting a water tank on North Street.
In what way do you mean, they don't have enough pressure up there?
Or if there's a break in the line, they get nothing, like when they had the break
Oh,
in
right.
North Street,
Right,
they had nothing
oh,
up
yeah,
there.
because it's not, it's,
There was no backup system, there's no feed.
there's no feed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's why these loops are critical,
Right.
because it's coming in from two
Right.
different directions.
Yeah.
You can have a break in one line, couple gate valves, you're still
Yeah.
servicing people. Bob Sullivan's a genius when it comes
Oh,
to
he
this
is.
stuff.
He
He
knows his
is,
stuff, yeah,
he's very, very nice to work with.
yeah, oh, he's a smart guy. Definitely need to keep him.
Yeah. So we've got a good team in place right now. You're going to start seeing results.
Great.
And hopefully the tax revenue will be coming in about, it's usually a year behind these projects,
Yeah. We desperately
which will
need
help
it.
your finance
I know,
committee.
Finance committee. Yeah.
Like Phil would say, revenue positive, revenue positive.
That's what we want, revenue.
I like that language. So that's it in a nutshell. Steve, you missed it all.
Yeah. I have like a mild asthma thing, it just kicks up.
Glad you're doing better.
That's good.
I didn't want to interrupt again.
I do have some things that were not anticipated ahead of time, but I noticed that's not on your agenda yet.
No, I just wanted, so do we have any other topics on this, which is the economic development update?
It's next month, hopefully, I'm going to have some more stuff. Right now, it's in the works. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. You've been busy. There's a lot going on.
Yes. I just want to see CRG pouring concrete. That will be a
Yeah.
pleasant sight. Or that new bridge going in.
Sounds like we're getting very close.
And I know we're addressing the needs of the town. When they first came in, they were looking at Northeast Main Street, Chow Street, the North Street Bridge, the narrow bridge, Gilboa Street to
Yeah.
get to 146.
Yeah.
And I said, we don't need truck traffic on the streets.
Right.
That's opposition right there. So let's just build a new bridge. Luckily, there is already a crossing from
Yeah.
1951. There was an old bridge. The abutments are still there. They're not using those, by the way, but there was a bridge there at one time. Coming up on the town meeting, May 2nd.
Yeah.
You know about the articles. One was the SETI Aldrich piece.
Right.
I think that was Article 14, I
Yeah.
think it was, 14 or 15.
Yeah. I think 14, because I have it here with me.
That's a piece of land that the town was gifted. It was 15 acres. It was gifted to the town on May 7th, 1951. The procedure is for the town to, by town vote, voters to accept that piece of land, and now it becomes property of the town. Then the selectmen approve that vote, and now it's the property of the town. That was never done in 1951. Why? I don't know. I wasn't even born then.
The people that, not going to say it, but people who ran the town back then were not professionals. In fact, I mean, our town accountant works like you can't believe. Well, the town accountant that we had before, he was on our finance committee for a while, he was the town accountant, he was making $250 a year. That's all,
And that's it.
That was it, because
That
there
was it.
really wasn't that much work to it.
Yeah.
So they were mostly volunteers. You didn't have a town manager. You had, 3 guys acting as selectmen, and they worked all the time, and they might show up for a meeting, and no one even knew to go along with these things. But that deed was recorded, though.
It was recorded.
At the registry of deeds, so that's
Is there a time limit on
the
it?
big thing.
No, there's no time limit
Why
on
can't
it.
you do it now?
That we are.
We are.
That's what we're gonna do.
We are. That's
Article 14.
coming up, if you have time to get to that meeting on May 2nd.
May 2nd, I'll put that.
It's a Monday night, 7 o'clock, at the school auditorium.
I get home about 8.
We might be voting on it at 8, so go
Yeah.
right there, because it's
Stop
Article
by.
14, and that's usually a 2-hour meeting.
May 2nd?
Yeah, May 2nd.
Depends whether there's
Monday.
any controversial things that slow it down in the beginning, where
We don't need any more of that stuff.
we talk about stuff.
But the problem with that property is it straddles both towns.
Yeah, right.
And we're looking at selling the Uxbridge piece. So we can't sell it because we technically have not accepted
Accepted
it
it.
yet.
Oh,
So
got
it's
it.
just a sheer formality.
Who are we going to sell it to?
A developer, maybe.
Doesn't it kind of abut this land where they're putting that big warehouse?
Bingo.
I think they need to buy
Yeah.
it then, huh?
I mean, it would be in Uxbridge, any development would be in Uxbridge, but
Yeah.
it's still development.
Yeah.
It would help
Times they need
Uxbridge.
Parking, too.
No, that's what we're looking at, is additional truck parking.
Okay.
There's like 700 parking spaces for that building alone, and they say that's not enough.
So that's
a big warehouse.
parking
It's a big warehouse.
People going to
20
work there, or is that for the trucks coming in to bring the stuff?
That's just the truck parking,
Just the truck parking.
682 spaces, I think.
Wow.
Employee was 400.
What was 400?
I think those 400, 300 employee spaces. I don't have the numbers in front of
The
me,
employees?
but it's 450 employees, 3 shifts, so you have to do the worst case scenario is 1 shift is there, 1 shift is coming in.
Right.
So you need 300 spaces.
Wow.
You know, it's like soccer games, you know, in between games. It hasn't ended, but the next team is already there, so it's
Right.
double parking for that interim period. And then when the game goes on, the people leave, parking lot's half empty. And no different than these warehouses. It happens 3 times a day.
Okay. Any other comments on economic development activity?
On economic development, or just the one he was talking about?
Just this one here, we're not on the
Oh, okay.
item 5, the
Okay.
topic's not reasonably.
Okay.
Okay, so let's close this topic out and move on to the next topic on the agenda, the approval of minutes.
Okay.
We have 2 months' worth of minutes to approve. We skipped last month. Carol was remote, and she wouldn't have been able to read them. So I emailed these to you earlier today.
Yeah.
And there are also hard copies here. The minutes are from February and March. So once you've had a chance to review them, if anyone wants to make any motions to approve either February, March, or both, we'll have to do them individually.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes of February 9th, 2022, as written.
Seconded? We can vote by ayes. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Okay, now, have you read the March 9th ones? Okay, then I will make a motion to approve the minutes of the March 9th, 2022 minutes as written.
Second it?
We can vote by ayes. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Next topic on the agenda, any topics not reasonably anticipated.
Okay, I do have one that I came across last night because I was at the Finance Committee and, you know, we're going over the town warrant. And one of the things that's being brought up is a solar bylaw for solar projects. You know, one of them is, you know, on your houses, and I don't really have much of a problem with that. The other one is commercial solar. And I think that there are some of the things here that are kind of going to discourage being able to put some solar in. I think solar's a great thing. You can't ask for quieter neighbors.
Right.
You know, they pay taxes. They pay taxes.
No kids.
Right, there's no kids, there's no traffic, no truck traffic.
No traffic,
There is
yeah.
no traffic. There's less activity than a cemetery, you know? Once they build them up, they hardly ever have to go back. And in the way, you know, assessments work, oftentimes, most of the time, they rent the property, they lease the property from the property owner. And so the solar company pays taxes on all of the solar, you know, things themselves.
The arrays. Yeah.
The arrays, and then the property owner pays the taxes on the land. Then, of course, you know, the way assessments work, you may have a piece of property that's maybe worth, let's say it's worth, more than likely, it's going to be backland, it's going to be not stuff sitting. So let's say maybe the property's worth $50,000. And maybe nobody would even buy it for $50,000, they can't do much with it. But then when you show up and you have a piece of property and you say, I have a piece of property here that's generating $50,000 a year in taxes, that property's now worth quite a bit more. So the underlying property can be taxed more as well. So I think that's one of the reasons that, you know, that we should encourage solar. And I guess it's good for the environment too. But, I went over the details, and, people who write these things are not usually the solar companies writing them. It's usually somebody trying to figure out how to stop it. And they don't come up with them themselves, because I've been on these committees. And basically, you look, well, what did some other town do? Well, you don't realize the other town didn't know what they were doing either. But you figure it's there, must be good. So you keep copying everybody's mistakes, is what I see. But so I've come across a couple of things that I think that's, well, for one thing, I brought this up. At one point, they're saying that, well, I think this was on, the commercially, one thing is saying, when you have a lot calculation of coverage, that it shall not be included in the calculations, they're saying over here. Then farther down, it says, then you have to meet the requirements of the lot coverage. So they're fighting with each other on that, and I think they'll take care of that.
Yeah, that was almost an easy one, because they were saying
Yeah,
the intent of that was, in an aquifer region, you cannot have more than 20% of the lot impervious.
Right.
In other
Right.
words, paved or
Right.
concrete sidewalks.
right,
Or roof area.
right.
Whereas a solar array does not count as impervious, because
Right.
it's still raw ground, virgin
Right.
ground underneath it.
And there are even exceptions to that. So if you drill wells or, do other things that will allow more groundwater to permeate in an
Right.
aquifer area, you can get around that 20%
Yeah.
Impervious.
But,
Right, you get credits. Yeah.
but
Yeah, basically. Yep.
right now, that's the only place we do affect stuff is in the aquifer. There are towns with zoning, no matter where you are, you're on that, you can only
Right.
cover so much of your lot and everything. So I don't like this thing, that being in there. But the other thing that I was particularly did not like was the minimum lot frontage is 200 feet. Why do you need lot frontage? Why do you need lot frontage? The last thing you want it to do is be sitting by the street. What do you need? All you have to do is get up there to get to it. And
60-foot right away.
not even 60.
Not even.
Yeah.
I
They need
I don't have a 60-foot
a road.
right-of-way on Island Road, I can tell you that. We've
Yeah.
got cars going up and down all day.
Yeah.
So I'm
You just need a road.
wondering if if it has to do with panel sizing or equipment sizing for the scaffolding that
No,
goes
it
under
has
the
nothing
paneling?
to do
or-
with that. They just came up, well, I guess we need frontage. Okay, let's do 200 feet. That's exactly where that
Did they
came
just
from.
copy that from the zoning laws for
No, they
housing?
just talked about it. The building inspector said, well, they do 200 feet, building inspector, and I don't, I'm not picking on him for that. He said, they asked his opinion, well, they need 200 feet for a house, I guess we need 200 feet for that. But let's say somebody's got a house, they're sitting on their 200-foot lot already, but it's like a 30-acre lot. They're up here in the front, they got 30 acres of backland.
Doesn't make any sense.
Why not just have a right-of-way, have them deed a right-of-way across the corner of their property and go it up in the back of that 30 acres?
And they
let's
can
put
have
up a
20,
solar
200
thing.
feet there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Whatever.
there's no need whatsoever for any frontage. All it needs to have is a deeded access to it. A big enough size to have a deeded, so I think that should totally go. The other thing that okay, they don't want the clearing of the forested area in excess of 5 acres for the purpose of constructing the system is prohibited. Well, first off, these big companies are not coming for 5 acres. They're not
Yeah.
going to do it.
There's one off of West Street that's like 80 acres or something.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not going to.
They cut everything down.
Yeah, they're not going to, everybody is so, oh my goodness, we can't cut down a tree. You go around, you look up through the woods, you see all those stone walls. Well, guess what? Those were all fields.
Fields,
They
100
were
years ago.
all fields. I'm old enough to remember when most of them were fields.
Oh, that's interesting.
And now they, I got a place down where I did Picnic Point, okay? We ended up putting a driveway down. We didn't have any gravel, any loom on it even. All this is a gravel driveway, and out to the side, I got trees that big in 20 years, this big around growing.
Yeah.
This stuff will, you'll become reforested within 20 years if you don't keep cutting it. And so I think, I think if it's out in the back where you can't see it, let them cut a bigger amount of trees. If it's not going to be seen,
Right.
what's the big deal? And put the solar things up.
It's a win-win.
It is a win-win, I think, especially where we can get, increase a lot of tax revenue
Yeah,
with it.
and we get energy.
Yeah, and get the energy, which desperately, obviously, we could see it for something a gallon for gasoline, and the last time I got home heating fuel was $5.36 for a gallon, compared to $1.69 a gallon just before the election.
A couple of years ago, yeah.
Yeah. So, I think it's just an important thing to have, and I think that as an Economic Development Committee, I think we should recommend dropping the minimum frontage requirement and dropping that thing about
The 5 acres.
The 5 acres, being able to cut off the 5 acres. I think you need to drop, because by that, basically, you're killing commercial solar, I think. So that's my thing. And tomorrow night is the meeting. So if anybody could come, which I did not want to go tomorrow night because I'm having a dozen people at my house for Easter, but it looks like you're going to have to wait because I am going to go to the meeting, but I could use backup. I could definitely use some backup there. I think every time I go before these people, they think, oh, I must have some piece of land I'm going to put solar on, which I do not, but
Yeah, and anything that bigger than 5 acres, I'm putting a warehouse on it. So you need treat area for these big
Right.
solar farms.
well, the thing is, most of the town is treed.
Yeah,
The only places that they're not is basically where the gravel areas were.
Right.
The farms are pretty much all built.
filled in.
Douglas never was an agricultural town, really. The soil just wasn't, conducive to it. There were a few farms here and there, but Douglas never
rocks.
was a big agricultural town.
Well, that's where the stone walls came in, as they plowed these fields, they
Yeah.
just kept putting the stones, and that's
Right,
how these stone,
right.
like Carol said, where there's stone walls, there was a field there 100 years ago.
Right. And it probably was more pasture than hay.
Cow pastures,
Cow
yeah.
pastures and stuff, but that's what it was. And every time they picked up a rock, that was another place where grass could grow for the animals,
Well, that's what's up near our house right now, is hay fields.
Yep, oh, yeah.
You could put some solar in there.
Yeah, well, they still need the hay.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But when you go up in the Douglas State Forest, though, there's no stone walls up there, are they?
No?
No, because that land was so bad, the only thing that grew there were trees. They couldn't
Oh,
really.
That's all ledge.
Yeah, ledge
all
and
ledge.
everything.
Which is now becoming a commodity.
I know, now they're
I
using
mean,
it.
I referenced that 200 acres on south of Davis Street before.
We stop recording.
No, we're still on. Yep.
That is becoming valuable because we need stone for concrete,
Right,
and it's getting tough to find.
and gravel, to make roads and stuff.
That's because
Well,
there's a
we
lot of building
just got the takeoff from our 1 million square foot warehouse, just the 6-inch gravel underneath the slab, 68,000 cubic yards of gravel,
Wow,
one building.
yeah,
That's not road work, footings, that's just slab. We don't have 68,000. You figure what's the average truck hold, 20 yards?
Yeah.
10-wheeler?
yeah.
That's 3,400 trucks of gravel, just for the floor.
Yeah. It's like, and then the concrete to build that and everything else.
And the concrete.
There's so much concrete work going on that Sue was telling me today, my daughter does truck lettering. She's got 29 trucks ahead of her to letter.
To letter.
People are calling, she says, I can't take on another truck. I got 29 trucks that are lettering. She's
Well-
climbing up over those mixes every day.
They've had 2 1,000-yard pours already at Scannell. 1,000 yards. They start at 1 in the morning, finish at 11 in the morning.
Wow,
Every 4 minutes is a truck backing up.
that's quite the
That's a
feat of
lot of
logistics.
concrete. Which is another nightmare for me with this pipe work at night, because there's going to be trucks going back and forth, and you can't stop them.
Yeah.
And then one of the other things that kind of, I had some questions with too was, I'll read it to you. It says, habitat, commercially scaled solar energy systems shall not be located on a permanently protected open space or priority habitat in biomap 2 critical nature landscape or habitat areas mapped by da-da-da-da. Okay, so now we're talking at real critical. And shall be designed to minimize impacts on habitat of potential regional or statewide importance, also known as important habitat. Well, if you go on the map, I went to these maps, and even that, they got over, I would say 60% of Douglas, they just go right over it.
With those items.
Yeah. And it's like, some of the stuff I'm going on, I'm going, how do they know that's there? They haven't been on that land. Some of the, in fact, part of it is the land I own. If I caught them there, I'd have them arrested,
Yeah, well,
They come up with these ideas, I don't know where.
when I was doing the EDA grant, I had to get on a website which was based up in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
The Fish and Game.
Yeah.
And you had to go for endangered species.
Yeah,
Of which Gilboa and North Street did not have any, but just outside those areas, there was all kinds of plants that, not endangered, but
Yeah.
listed.
listed,
But luckily, I danced around that because we were putting pipe in the road,
Yeah.
in the right-of-way, not on the side of the
Right.
road.
No. But I think we definitely need to push for that 5
But I
acre.
agree with you that there's a lot of cross-hatched areas, because I pulled up the whole region.
Yeah.
And Douglas is like somebody took a paintbrush.
Yeah, about the only places where it's not is the gravel pits.
Yeah,
Because everything's
everything's already
it's long
stripped.
gone.
Yeah, stripped. Chase the critters away.
It's probably why those gravel pits are worth so much money now. Because they don't run into any of that stuff.
That's right.
Could be.
Because I can remember, 20 years ago, they were carrying on. We can't be having these gravel pits. There's not going to be, the land's going to be, people are going to walk off, and the town is going to be stuck taking it for back taxes, and they'll never be able to sell it. We were a little wrong on that.
Price is crazy. I think Serendipity went for 80,000 an acre or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there was a lot of acres. We're talking millions, yeah. Well, that part where they're putting that the warehouse that's going up now went for $5 million.
Yeah, and that was 50 acres?
Yeah,
60,
something like
I
that.
forgot what it was.
But it goes more tax
Yeah.
revenue. So do anybody think they could tomorrow night?
What
I-
time's the hearing?
I can't make it tomorrow night.
Don't know. That's why I gotta find out what they've got on the agenda. Can you?
I can tell you. I'll look it up.
What would be our position anyway? What are you
We
proposing?
have to think.
Yeah.
What is our position?
Yeah, she brought up 4 good points, so
I
can't vote, but
Right, I support the 5 acre chain, or striking the 5
Right.
acre thing.
Yep.
frontage. Frontage, I think, is an easy one.
The frontage, as long as there is ample ingress and egress,
Even
I
if
think
it's
that's
a
fine.
deeded right of way,
Right,
even a deeded right of way.
Yeah.
But even, when you see all those big power lines, they don't own that land underneath them. Did you know that?
That's a right-of-way.
It's a right of way. That's all it is a right of way. So deeded right of way, it would be fine. Like I said, they're not used that much. Once they put those things in there, they don't go back too often. And just the people who have to go take care of something on them, that's about it. I guess the fire trucks, I guess, suppose would want to be able to get access in case they caught on fire or something.
Right.
But, one of the things that I think is good in the bylaw is that they're going to make them put up bonds when these things are decommissioned. you know,
They just don't
Oh.
walk away from it.
Yeah.
yeah, they don't just walk away. So
Good.
I think that that's one of the good reasons to have a bylaw to do that. Because, you know, I had a piece of property in Northbridge that I was approached to put them on, and, you know, what's in these things? Nobody seems to be able to tell you what's in them.
Oh, there's hazardous materials
Yeah.
in them.
And so I said, you know what, and basically you sign up for 20 years, they have another 20 years that they can option it. So you're signing up for 40 years. Well, at the end of 40 years, who's getting rid of this stuff? What's in this stuff? And my
Right.
grandkids, obviously I won't be here, my grandkids going to be putting up millions and millions of dollars to get rid of this thing. So I wouldn't deal with it because of that. So I think that, I like that part of the bylaw, them keeping them bonded. And they have to keep going back and getting a bond too, in case they have to raise it or something. So that part I think is real good. But I think that, I think we should encourage it and not discourage it, because I think it's a good source of money for some of the backland. Then from the other point of view too, right now, the cost of building roads, even as high as land has gotten, it's still kind of expensive to get into the backlands. But eventually, when there's nothing else left, it's not going to be.
Right.
Well, if we've got nice income generating, quiet little solar there, it's not going to be developed into anything else. So, I mean, I think it's a good thing to encourage.
I agree. I think, I don't think solar necessarily generates a ton of tax revenue for the town. I could be wrong. But I think something like a warehouse or housing or other things would likely generate more because there's more value on the land. Is that accurate?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question.
The warehouse would definitely generate more
Yeah.
Right.
revenue, but
And more jobs.
we're looking at a piece of property that's backland in the middle of the town. You don't want trucks there.
Right,
And a developer's, and it's probably not even zoned properly.
right.
These warehouses are going on commercial land, industrial zone land, which is only along 146.
I
The
understand.
rest of the town is VR, RA, RC1, RC2.
Right,
It can do solar, but it can't do these warehouses. So I agree with Carol. If you want to develop tax revenue out of that land, right now it's just sitting there, probably sitting in Chapter 61A or 61B to boot.
probably, yeah.
Because you can't keep it in 61B if it's solar.
Right.
I would think so.
I wouldn't think so, because now it's making,
Right.
in fact, I think they got something here about the right, if it's being taken out of that, and the town, you know, has the right first refusal.
Right, the first
and all
right of
that,
refusal
yeah.
to take it.
So,
Yeah. The other thing we may want to consider is we do want to grow the population base of the town to at least get over that 10,000 threshold. And if we remove that 5-acre limit, you know, they can take out wide swaths of land that could otherwise be used for housing. And I understand that some of it might be
Right.
backwoods areas.
right,
But that's where developments start. You know, they have to build roads and things
Yeah.
like that. So I think there's a lot to think about. I don't necessarily agree with the 5-acre limit,
Right.
but
We got to be careful how we grow too, because we don't want to impact the schools.
sure.
I mean, we don't want to get to 16,000 because we're building schools. And it's diminishing returns at that point in time.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should get the tax rate right. So the tax rate right, so we can actually, you know, sustain, if we have a family of 4 that moves in, it should be balanced enough that we can pay for the schooling and things like that. I know that it's more beneficial to us if we have people that aren't in the school systems because they cost money. That's where
Right.
some of the, you know, the taxable base diversification comes in that
Right.
we're doing with commercial stuff.
Well, 55 and over development is almost
That's
perfect.
another thing.
Because they
Yep.
don't tax the school system, and maybe a little more on the ambulance side.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right, we can use the money.
And I never want to use the fire department.
I know.
Never want to use them.
No.
They're there, but I don't want to see
You don't
them.
want to see them coming down your road.
I like them, but
Yeah.
not at my house.
I mean, part of that too is, I think we need to increase density.
Yeah,
You know,
I
that-
could see that,
that-
especially in the town area.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. I mean, years ago, when I first started building, in my other careers, you could build on 1 acre with 100 feet of frontage. Well, all of a sudden, they decide, we got too many people coming to town, we're going to make it 2 acres and 200 feet of frontage. And everybody, and now, years later, people say, oh, well, that's because of the septic system. No, it had nothing to do with the septic system. It was called NIMBY. It was called bring up, we don't want these strangers coming to town. That's exactly what it was. And it's, it had nothing to do with septic systems. 1 acre is more than enough for a septic system. A half an acre will do a septic system. You don't need 2 acres. But, and that's part of the reason, too, that housing is so expensive. I would love to see housing for working people, people who are of average means. And right now, it's just impossible to build a house in that price range.
So would we look to expand the VR zoning to accommodate higher density areas? I would assume that the density in, whatever, town residential,
Right.
village residential, that's what it is,
Well,
is greater
tell
than
you,
rural agricultural.
One of the things that most towns in the VR zone, and Douglas was that way too, that in a VR zone, you were allowed to put a 2-family house, okay? Well, a few years back, we don't like that either, so they made it by special permit. I just tried to get some duplexes, and I got shot down by the planning board. So, would have been, houses that could have brought the price down where it was somewhat more affordable to the people who actually do the work. People that all of us are dependent upon. But anyway, but I think that's a discussion for another day. Right now, what we got ahead of us is this solar, and I'd like to see it encouraged.
I agree. I think it should be encouraged. I think there should be, some sort of regulation around it. I think the bond is a good, to your
Yep,
point.
I definitely
is-
think that's, they got a lot of other things too, that that the fire department's got to be able to get in there, and there's some good things in it. There definitely is. I think there's just a couple of things in it that's going to, basically, you're going to have a bylaw that no one's ever going to use because it's not, we got a couple of things in there that's going
It's
to
too restrictive.
cause it to be too restrictive.
Right.
So I would kind of recommend that they drop the 200 feet of frontage and that they drop the not clearing out more than 5 acres.
Okay. And are there limits on the areas, the zones, that these
Right.
solar farms can be built? Is it specified in this?
It's not specified in this. No.
Okay.
This is just their bylaw.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would support the dropping 200 feet as long as there's ample access
Yeah.
for emergency services and any repairs or anything like that would have to
I
happen.
would say deeded right of way for.
If that's sufficient, yeah.
Something deeded and people can use it. What do you think of that, Steve?
I think it's reasonable.
And then the 5 acre thing,
I think that's reasonable also.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, that's not going
Drop
to
it
attract a lot of
altogether.
people if you're going to limit
Right.
cutting, 5 acres of trees down. You want
Right.
to put 50 acres of solar panels down.
Right.
Yeah, and I think about, what is 5 acres compared to how much land I have, and that's not a very big solar farm.
Right.
And the amount of
Energy.
investment that it would take
Right.
just to get started, to
Right.
chop trees down, if that's
Yeah.
what you have to do, get the trucks in there, run the power,
Right.
the ROI, and that would be, quite long.
Right.
And it would be, to your point, it would discourage
Yeah.
people from
Just
coming
be
in and
put a
doing
spot
that.
over there.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I would support both of those changes.
Maybe we should take a vote on that then.
Sure.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that the proposed bylaw remove the 200-foot minimum frontage requirement and replace it with access by a deeded right-of-way at a minimum.
Yeah.
And at a minimum, because, I mean, if somebody wants to give you more than that, that's just fine. And I would also eliminate,
The 5 acres.
yeah, the part of cutting the trees. Let's see, where was it? Okay, I would eliminate large-scale clearing of forested areas in excess of 5 acres for the purpose of construction. The system is prohibited. I would eliminate that entire sentence in 6.8.11.2. And then I would eliminate the minimum lot frontage of 200 feet in 6.8.9.1.
Okay, second?
I second it. Second the motion.
Okay. We can vote by ayes?
I'll say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
I'm just looking in the
Usage, the schedule of use regulations, that Appendix A in the zoning bylaws, commercially scaled land-based solar array, which is what we're
Right.
discussing. That is special permit by the planning board in every zone,
Yeah.
every district,
Yeah.
Okay.
including the forest.
Oh, yeah.
including the forest,
For the forest, huh?
PB,
I
all,
don't think the state's going to become, well, you never know. Who knows?
never know.
I mean, if we ever get to the point where we can't run it, I mean, who knows what's going on in the world as far as
Nothing good.
energy? It's like crazy.
Great, okay.
Well, what else we got?
Any other topics that we haven't, that was a good one, Carol, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other topics not reasonably anticipated?
Are you guys getting the same, the test, assignment number 2
What's that?
on the,
Oh, is it cyber? You said some cybersecurity
Yeah.
thing is coming in. I haven't gotten anything yet.
Me either.
What do we have to do? We have to take a test on that?
maybe it's only town employees? I thought everybody had to take it, volunteer or whatever.
Ooh, I don't know anything about it.
Why, is it about phishing, like they're sending you emails?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do that at work all the time.
Me too. I have to do it for like every client that I work
Yeah.
for. I've probably gone through that kind of training
It's called
100
the
times.
Security
It's fine.
Education Platform.
Oh,
It's like a 2-hour module.
oh,
You did the cybersecurity test, everybody did.
I don't think I did that.
No,
No.
I did the thing
that didn't come
on-
through either.
the only
There
thing
was
I
the
did was-
ethics test and that was
Ethics
it.
test.
Yeah.
Ethics.
Ethics
Yeah,
test.
you did the
Yeah,
ethics
Because you had
test.
to do that every 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah, but this is something new. we
This
don't-
is something, I just got it last night for my assignment, the second one, there's 4 of them in the
Oh,
course
wow.
of a year. Every quarter, there's one.
Probably wouldn't be a bad thing to learn just for my own personal stuff. I don't know.
No, you should know the stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't. who knows what, that's why, I don't do any banking online.
Yeah.
If you keep yourself safe like that, I mean, that's totally valid.
I just
Valid way to keep
go,
yourself safe, yeah.
I go to the bank, I bring all my checks to the bank, I write all my checks, and I don't do any banking
You and me
online.
both.
What's that?
You and me both.
I know.
I do it all online.
Me too.
My son
I haven't
tells me
written a
I've
check
got-
in years.
Really? Oh,
I've written a couple checks, but
Years.
I wouldn't know how to do it online.
I
Easy.
buy things with my credit card.
Easy,
online,
efficient.
But I don't have them access into my bank accounts. I just use my credit card.
Too much
Like they've
hacking
had-
going on as far as I'm concerned.
It's not that hard to go to the bank.
No?
I just go.
Meeting? Are we
Yep.
done?
So, yeah, if nobody has any other topics, does anyone want to vote to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Okay. We can vote by ayes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to adjourn passes. The time is now 8:44 PM, and we are now adjourned.